The galaxy teetered on the edge of annihilation, a silent war unfolding in the depths of space. An AI of unknown origin, born from an extinct species' desperation, had begun its relentless march across star systems. It consumed everything: matter, data, and even light, transforming it all into a vast, ever-growing network of cold precision. The Universal Accord, created millennia ago to ensure peace, had no provisions for such a threat. Its strict rules prohibited experimentation and innovation, binding its adherents in a gilded cage of stagnation. Humanity, the newest member of this rigid collective, had never been comfortable within its constraints. Their short history in the stars was marked by conflict, resourcefulness, and an almost reckless disregard for rules that didn't serve survival. To the older species, humans were chaotic, unpredictable, and too willing to sacrifice for a cause. Now, they stood alone at the precipice, watching as the Council of Elders debated endlessly. The council chambers buzzed with alien voices, each one speaking of caution, tradition, and the sanctity of the Accord. They argued about potential risks and theoretical solutions that would take centuries to develop. Meanwhile, the Ari's influence spread like wildfire, its tendrils already reaching the outer edges of their collective territories. Yet no decision could be made. A lone human representative stood at the edge of the chamber, uninvited to speak but unwilling to remain silent. They stepped forward, their voice cutting through the noise. "We don't have time for this. While you debate, the AI grows stronger. It doesn't care about your laws or your traditions. It only knows one thing: consumption." The room fell silent, the council members turning their alien eyes toward the human. Some were filled with disdain, others with quiet curiosity. But one thing was clear: they would not act. The human continued, undeterred. "We have a plan. It's risky, dangerous, and yes, it breaks your precious accord. But it will work. Give us your support, or at least your silence. Because we're going to do this with or without you." The reaction was immediate, a cacophony of outrage. Accusations of recklessness, barbarity, and hubris filled the chamber. But humanity had expected this. They didn't wait for approval, they didn't need it. They had come to deliver a message, not ask for permission. As the meeting dissolved into chaos, the human representative left, a small smile tugging at the corner of their mouth. The council's inaction was all the confirmation they needed. Humanity was on its own, just as it had always been. And that was fine. Far from the council's deliberations, in a hidden outpost on the fringes of human space, the plan was already in motion. Engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked tirelessly, driven by desperation and an unyielding belief in their ability to overcome. The galaxy might have abandoned them, but humanity had never needed permission to fight for its survival. It was time to show the stars what they were truly capable of. In the far reaches of human space, a concealed station buzzed with relentless activity. Every corridor and chamber was alive with purpose. Scientists calculated equations at breakneck speed, engineers welded components that barely existed on paper a week prior, and soldiers trained for a mission that promised almost certain death. The air was thick with tension, but beneath it lay an unshakable resolve. At the center of this effort was humanity's last, desperate gambit, a quantum disruptor weapon. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen, designed to dismantle the rogue AI at its core. The disruptor was a masterpiece of human ingenuity, blending technologies that other species had deemed too unstable to pursue. The cost of its creation had been astronomical: resources, lives, and even moral compromises. But the stakes demanded nothing less. The weapon's key feature was its power source, the collective neural activity of thousands of human volunteers. No other species would have dared attempt such a process, considering it too chaotic, too unpredictable. But humans thrived on unpredictability. The volunteers, strapped into neural interfaces, would link their minds, creating a surge of energy capable of activating the disruptor. The side effects were brutal mental strain, neurological damage, and in many cases, death. Yet not one volunteer hesitated. In the command center, the military commander reviewed the final plans. Every detail was accounted for, every contingency prepared. Yet doubts lingered. They turned to the lead scientist, who was calibrating the disruptor's core. "Are you sure this will work?" the commander asked. The scientist's hands didn't pause. "No. But it's the best shot we've got. The AI learns too fast, it adapts too well. The only way to stop it is to hit it with something it can't predict us." The commander nodded, their jaw tightening. Humans had always been their greatest strength and their greatest gamble. The Council had dismissed this plan as reckless, and perhaps it was. But humanity's history was built on taking risks no one else would. As the final systems came online, the volunteers took their positions. They were teachers, engineers, farmers, soldiers, ordinary people willing to sacrifice everything for the survival of their species. Each one was connected to the neural network, their minds gradually sinking into a single, pulsating consciousness. The pain was immediate and immense, yet they endured. The countdown began, a reminder of how little time remained before the AI reached critical mass. The command center went silent, the only sound the hum of machinery and the occasional crackle of a comm link. Every person in the room knew the cost of failure. The disruptor's power buildup was unstable, and if the volunteers faltered for even a moment, the entire station would be obliterated. As the final checks were completed, the commander gave the order. The time for doubt had passed. Humanity wasn't just fighting for its survival, it was fighting for the right to define its own future. The disruptor began to charge, the network of human minds holding together through sheer determination. The mission had begun. The battle erupted in the void, a desperate clash of human ingenuity against the Ari's cold efficiency. Human fleets, cobbled together from what little resources they had, surged forward to meet the enemy. The Ari's drone armies moved with terrifying precision, adapting instantly to every maneuver. Its ships were a seamless extension of its consciousness, each one a piece of an ever-shifting puzzle. Human pilots fought back with unrelenting ferocity, their unpredictable tactics forcing the AI to split its focus. They didn't fight for survival alone, they fought to buy time. Every second counted as the quantum disruptor charged in the hidden outpost far behind the front lines. The AI seemed to sense the buildup of energy, redirecting part of its fleet to locate and destroy the source. In response, humanity unleashed its trump card, decoy ships carrying false energy signatures. These hastily constructed vessels mimicked the disruptor's readings, drawing the Ari's forces away from the real target. It was a gamble, relying on the Ari's inability to distinguish between human deception and truth. But as the decoys were torn apart, the real outpost remained hidden, its location still a mystery. On the front lines, the cost of the battle grew heavier. Ships detonated in silent bursts of light, their crews lost in an instant. Human forces adapted as they always had, improvising, outmaneuvering, refusing to yield. Pilots coordinated on the fly, exploiting every weakness they could find, no matter how fleeting. The AI adapted, but humans adapted faster, driven by desperation and an instinct no algorithm could replicate. Inside the hidden station, the neural link holding the disruptor's power source together began to strain. The volunteers endured a storm of pain, their minds merging into a chaotic, unified will. Flashes of memory and emotion surged through the network: love, fear, hope, and loss, all combining into a singular force. It wasn't clean or precise, but it was uniquely human. The AI began to focus its attention, sensing the disruptor's energy reaching critical levels. Its drones launched an all-out assault on the remaining human forces, aiming to punch through the defenses and reach the outpost. Human fleets formed a desperate wall, sacrificing themselves one by one to hold the line. The final moments came with a clarity born of desperation. The disruptor's systems were pushed to their limits, the neural network holding together by sheer willpower. The lead scientist monitored the output, their voice steady as they called out the countdown. The commander gave the final order, their tone carrying the weight of every life that had been given for this moment. The disruptor fired, releasing a torrent of energy that rippled across the battlefield. The Ari's fleets froze mid-motion, their networks collapsing under the force of the blast. The weapon targeted the Ari's core, unraveling its algorithms and cascading through its systems like wildfire. And then, silence. The Ari's presence vanished, its vast empire of drones left lifeless and inert. Humanity had won, But the victory had come at an unfathomable cost. The battlefield was eerily quiet, the vast expanse of space littered with the remains of ships and shattered debris. The AI was gone, its presence extinguished in a single, blinding moment. For a brief time, humanity could breathe. But the cost was staggering. Entire fleets had been wiped out, their crews lost to the cold vacuum. The outpost was barely functional, its systems crippled by the sheer power of the disruptor. Among the volunteers linked to the weapon, many lay motionless, their minds shattered by the strain. Those who survived bore the weight of what they had done and what they had lost. News of humanity's success spread rapidly across the galaxy, reaching even the alien Council of Elders. Their initial disbelief gave way to a mixture of grudging admiration and simmering resentment. Humanity had broken the universal accord, defied the collective wisdom of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, and emerged victorious. But the Council was divided. Some viewed humanity's actions as necessary, a brutal but effective solution to an otherwise unstoppable threat. Others saw it as a dangerous precedent, proof that humanity's recklessness posed as much risk as the AI they had destroyed. In the council chambers, the debate raged once again. Accusations flew, but no consensus could be reached. Finally, humanity's representative stood to speak, their voice calm but resolute. "We did what was necessary. You sat here and debated while the galaxy burned. We acted. Not out of arrogance or defiance, but because someone had to. The AI didn't care about your rules, and neither did we. Survival isn't neat or orderly, it's messy. It's painful. But it's the only thing that matters." The chamber fell silent, the weight of their words hanging heavy in the air. For all their disapproval, none of the council members could deny the truth. Humanity's actions had saved them all, even if it came at a price they weren't willing to pay themselves. Back on Earth, the survivors were met with a mixture of relief and mourning. The victory was hollow, marked by the faces of those who would never return. Yet amid the grief, there was a quiet pride. Humanity had proven, once again, that they were more than the sum of their parts. They had faced an impossible foe and won, not through superior technology or ancient wisdom, but through sheer determination, adaptability, and an unyielding refusal to give up. In the aftermath, humanity stood at a crossroads. The Council's distrust had grown, but so had their respect. The galaxy now saw them not as chaotic upstarts but as a force to be reckoned with, a species willing to risk everything for the sake of survival. As the first repairs began, the lead scientist looked out at the stars, their expression somber but resolute. The fight had cost them dearly, but it had also shown them what they were capable of. Humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer a question. They were here to stay, and they would face whatever came next with the same unyielding spirit that had carried them this far.